objective in assessing
I
what
completely
is
agree
what.
with you.
So these two, yeah.
I'm not oblivious to the fact that what Congress and Jawaharlal Nehru was, but I was merely pointing to the obsession of the current regime with Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, and this comparison never arose in my head. Since it was constantly drilled into my head about the comparison which that for third time it is an equivalent to Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. I don't have the bandwidth to make that comparison, so I was merely pointing out about that, nothing more than that. It's the obsession of the current regime that they want themselves to be treated on the same parallel way as Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru was. Forgetting what very articulated very well about how the Congress was then and how this is a completely different phenomena. I completely agree to that, and I always accept it. But the fact is, I was merely pointing out to what the BJP has been claiming for a very long time now.
I actually thank you, Brajesh, for raising this issue. Many people would not think like this, and you gave a food for thought. I mean, so this is just, how some ideas come to your mind. As a student of the subject, we are drawn to immediately the comparison things, and that gives us some motivation to think about this, study about this, how they were similar, how they were different. Of course, the future historians will make a good comparison because now Modi
Absolutely.
deserves to be compared with Nehru. So that will come later on, but just thank you for this pointer and gave me a food for thought.
Oh, absolutely. But today is the day when the government is being formed. A lot of people, senior people, are sitting. Where they thought would they find
one very
themselves to
interesting
be.
thing is very Kartike that with Jual Oram taking the oath and also Dharmendra Pradhan, the number of contenders or the list of contender for the post of chief ministership in Odisha is getting less by the minute. So
Less by the minute?
we'll be very interesting to see who gets to make the cut. Whether it's going to be Sarangi or is it going to be Mr. Murmu, the CAG, who's now being talked about as a wild card entry, or Jay Panda, who knows how to run the administration and is a pretty well known face from Odisha as well. Because that is also one key area to look forward, because as per the state DGP and the state chief secretary, there in the next 2-3 days, we might see swearing in the state of Odisha as well. And Odisha. There, what many thought of would be in the center actually happened in Odisha. Complete annihilation of BJD. The BJP winning 20 out of 21 seats and forming a majority of its own as far as assembly, which was, many were predicting, many of us were giving higher numbers in the Lok Sabha, but nobody saw the kind of tsunami that was there, in the assembly election in Odisha.
Absolutely. Giriraj Singh is not looking pretty happy. I saw his interview also. He was slightly.
I honestly think, don't see that. I don't think that Giriraj Singh has any reason to be unhappy about. The kind of ministries he held. It was one of those ministries which was held by Raghuvansh Babu, and he made a history for himself. He's still fondly remembered as a person who kind of revolutionized the way the entire thing worked. He had rural development ministry, fisheries, and many other ministries. Budget-wise, he had the biggest ministries to himself. So I don't see, until unless he knows something which we are not aware of, where he has been able to make into Narendra Modi's cabinet, and he has been a big minister himself, a big portfolio to himself. So it'll be interesting to see what he gets. But I honestly don't think that he has any reason to complain or grouse.
He has no reason to complain. Absolutely has no reason to complain. In next 1.5 hours, we'll see all the ministers taking oath. I think tomorrow morning the portfolios will be redistributed. All eyes will be on the Raisena portfolios. I think even the Minister of State, the job at the Raisena, Minister of State for Finance, Minister of State for Home, Minister of State for Defence. These are Minister of State for External Affairs. Mrs. Lekhi is not there. Someone will get that chance from the from Bharatiya Janata Party. So it's going to be a very, very interesting thing. Ashwini Vaishnaw. Ajit, do you think what sort of a future do you see of Ashwini Vaishnaw in this government?
Right. I mean, what is there for Ashwini Vaishnaw to complain about?
Ajit.
Look, he's projected as one of the smartest ministers in the BJP cabinet. Although I remember that last year or year before, I think last year, there was this major accident, railway accident in Odisha. In fact, 3 days earlier, I had met Ashwini Vaishnaw in a get-together of the BJP. and he was talking. He gave the speech there, and 3 days later there was this massive railway accident. But otherwise, the impression is because of his background. He went to IIT. He speaks English very well. He is from Rajasthan, but he has a Rajya Sabha seat from Odisha, and he's supposed to be hyper efficient, young, dynamic. So, he was the railway minister, and maybe he might be given a new portfolio, which brings me to the point that, once the cabinet sort of is sworn in, the two most important things would be the first 100 days when the big time reforms would be announced. And I think in about, again, the better person to answer is Brijesh, but within 5 or 6 weeks, we have to present a budget, right, for this new government, for this year, 2024, 2025. So the big focus is going to be economic reforms. I mean, some of the figures that are coming out are obviously very good, The fact that the growth rate is almost 8.2 estimate in the next financial year, and the fact that, the collection of taxes has been very good. I guess on the ground, there are some problems which are long-term, like, unemployment or the deficit. Those need to be addressed. But obviously, the big bag reforms should come out in the first 100 days for the Modi government to hit its aim of a $5 trillion economy. So that
And
I
also,
think is
and also, Ajit, I think, what will happen is that the government would also not want to send out a message that it is backing out or it is kind of, petering down or as far as big bang reforms are concerned, given the fact that they don't have an absolute majority on their own. So I think that would also make sure that the government gives a pretty reformative budget, a budget which gets a big thumbs up as far as the industry is concerned. And also one very big task of, is establishing India as a manufacturing hub.
Reformative budget. I think the real challenge, Jayanto, is to, is around manufacturing. Software we have conquered. But the real problem in context of, Indian economy is the manufacturing. That's where we have not done well. But I think the primary target of the Prime Minister in this tenure would be legacy. Anyone who knows that, this might be his last tenure will look at legacy issue. If I may ask you, what is the legacy issue which the Prime Minister will look to?
Karthik, someone was right now talking about the next 100 days that the Prime Minister has already been planning even before we went to the hustings. Similarly, he has also unfolded a plan which is for the 100th year of independence for India. So as we talk here, the similar thoughts have also been there within the government, that this is about manufacturing that we have to think about. You have seen there was some changes brought about in the labor laws. There were some kind of hullabaloo over it, but it has been implemented, and apparently that has helped in a few small industries. So I shouldn't say small, but where the output has risen. Especially, there are 3 hubs that are currently manufacturing cell phones for Apple, and there also this have made a difference. So it is not that we are only talking here. This has been on the thoughts of the cabinet as well as the Prime Minister also. And yes, certain steps have already been taken. But I think Ajit was mentioning about that one area that we really have to do something about is agriculture, because there are lots of problems in that particular area. Despite our section have been already addressed to, how long can you go on giving a support price to a few crops? Not all of them, not in all places. It is not uniform. It is only in certain places, especially in Punjab, Haryana, all these places, they get this kind of facilities, wherein it is not there in Bihar. Bihar has done away with it. It's not there in West Bengal. It's not there in many places, even for cotton. So all these things, it's not only about the industry, it is about agriculture also, that we have to think about, and we have to formulate there will be protests. There will be demonstrations. Whenever you want to make some changes, you want to get out of the current the situation that we are in, there will be some kind of protest and demonstration. But to think of the future, apart from the industry, apart from the manufacturing that you're talking about, Karthike, we also have to think about the changes that we have to make in agriculture. There's such a difference between the maximum land holding is by the rich farmer and the poor farmer, despite the fact they are like 80 to 90.